It's time for you to shine. Don't be shy, you'll find it's your time. And no more baby steps, you're ready to go your own way. It's your day. Look in the mirror, tell me what you see. I see you grow up, ready to be seen. I watch you grow up, and I'm telling you, I'm proud of what I see. Wake up, it's time for you to shine. Don't be shy, you'll find it's your time. No more baby steps, you're ready to go your own way. It's your day. Look in the mirror, tell me what you see. I see a woman ready to be seen. I watch you grow up, and I'm telling you, I'm proud of what I see. Mira de frente, dime lo que ves. Mira una estrella como brilla. De niña a mujer, te digo que yo estoy feliz. All right. So, how you doing, Chris?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Rachel?
Good. I'm good. I feel like overall that little performance went well. It's a song I wrote for my cousin Jessica when she turned 15 for her quince, and I performed it there. And so today, right before we started the episode, I was asking Rochelle, hey, how do I say this in Spanish? Because I need to change the words because she's not 15 anymore. right?
Yeah,
So
right.
she's a woman. So I
Yeah.
feel like overall that went well, and like actually kind of excited me because now I'm thinking, hey, I should record that. It should be like
Yeah, it should be part of the song.
official. Yeah.
Like, you should make it like
Transformative, right? Maybe start off with her as a child. And
yeah,
then
like tell the story. Yeah, you got the
giving
beginning,
me ideas.
middle, and end.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But anyways, this episode is about you. So I want to give you a chance to introduce yourself. No pressure. Whatever comes to mind, whether it's long, short, and then we'll jump into some questions.
All right. Well, my name's Christopher Martell. I'm the owner of Crosshammer Films. It's a commercial video production company. I have a passion for narrative filmmaking. That's something that I've always been interested in, and I've done it for a long time. And so, yeah, that's just I'm 26 now, and I've been doing this for a long time. I started when I was 17.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You started young and you're still young, but you still have that much experience.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
feel like that puts you ahead.
A
Would
little
you
bit.
say? A little
Yeah,
bit?
a little bit.
That brings me to our sponsor for the episode is Crosshammer Films. So thank you, Crosshammer Films. And it is actually owned by Chris. So can you tell us a little bit about Crosshammer Films?
Yeah, so Crosshammer Films is, like I said before, it's a commercial video production company. We shoot a lot of different things, social media content, podcast productions, weddings, and also, like I said, narrative. So we've done projects for short films. So usually I'll take on the role of cinematographer, lead cinematographer for those types of projects.
All right. Awesome. I feel like I've worked on a few projects with you where you were the cinematographer and the assistant director.
Yes, yeah.
So
Yeah, in some cases, we take on multiple hats.
right? So often in these industries. So are you ready to jump into some of the questions?
I'm ready. Get
All
me
right.
with it.
Question number 1. What inspired you to become a filmmaker and content creator?
I can't think back to a time when I just always wanted to do this. I don't know. Since I was a kid, I grew up watching a lot of movies. My my parents on the weekends, we would be there watching movies like on Saturdays. That was our thing. Saturdays, we all sat down, we watched movies together, whether it was at home or going to the theaters. And I don't know, it's just, I guess that at such an early age
Yeah.
just kind of sparked that interest in me. At some point it was funny. Like I actually wanted to be a police officer at one point, but then I was like, no.
Because you saw a cop in a movie?
Maybe, yeah, something like that. And I'm like, no, not really interested in that. I'm like, movie. I keep coming back to movies. I just remember as a kid, I always used to create, like, even with like action figures, I used to make like little fake little like films and stuff like that. And I just always had a creative mind. So I just wanted to jump into it. And I was like, you know what, that's what I want to do. And it never left. So by the time...
Filmmaking in general? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, filmmaking in general. Yeah, it just like I knew I wanted to do something in it. I think my ultimate goal is to become a director, but for now, I'm in the cinematography realm. And I'm really enjoying that.
Do you feel like there's levels to it where you feel like you need to do things like that before you become the director you want to become?
Usually, like, everybody starts off as, I mean, if you're on the crew side, you always start off as like a production assistant or something like that. Like that's
Right.
typically, because you don't really know where you want to be, or you want to learn each role specifically and stuff like that. Yeah, so
like
there's
get your
definitely
feet
levels to it.
wet, and obviously you're not going to be given such a high title right off the bat.
Oh,
if you're
of
coming
course,
in
yeah.
as a PA.
No one just starts out as a director, or even a cinematographer, DP. It's just, you don't know what you're doing yet, so you have to build yourself up to that point, and you do that by learning, each role. And some people, they start off in one direction and they stay there, or they jump. In my case, I jumped a couple of levels.
Can you take us through the level that you started at and then what you jumped to?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I said earlier, I actually got into this industry at 17. A buddy of mine from high school, he had an acting teacher that was doing a short web series. I'm actually going to shout her out real quick. Jennifer Joy O'Grady. She was doing a web series at the time. This was like back in 2015, I think, something like that. And she needed PAs to come and help out on set. And my friend had approached me. We were both taking TV production at the time.
Okay.
And he was like, yeah, you want to come help out? And I was like, yeah, for sure. So I started out as a production assistant. And actually, they had put me as a script supervisor. For those that don't know, it's the person in charge of keeping continuity on set, right?
Thank you.
Like, if you ever noticed someone like smoking a cigarette or like eating something, they keep track of like, okay, what did the piece look like in each take? Because as you know, filming, you're an actress yourself. Filming, you're just like there for hours and hours.
Yeah.
So things could go, yeah.
It helps to have an extra eye on those things.
Yeah, exactly. Among other things, but that's one of the most important things that they do. So yeah, I started out doing that, had no idea what script supervising was. I was like, I don't know what to do here, but you learn as you go. And then from there, I actually jumped into doing sound. So I was doing sound on that very same project. There were a couple of days where they had me help out doing sound, and I liked it. I thought it was pretty fun. And then eventually, when I got into college, I went to film school at Broward College, actually.
Really?
Yeah. So, and I think one of your guests, Tag, went to Broward College as well. Yeah.
Wow.
So I did the film program there. And actually, another person, Lakeisha, as you know,
did she as well?
Yeah, that's where I met her, actually.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Shout out to Broward College.
Yeah.
All these talented individuals going there.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome. So when I went to BC, every class you had to switch roles. Like everybody had to learn how to be the director, how to be the sound, how to be. So it was kind of cool because then you got to learn. So I remember one of them, I was doing sound, and one of the higher up students, he was already like in the industry. He was a professional sound recordist. He came up to me while I was on set and he was like, hey, do you want to learn a couple of things?
Oh.
And I was like, yeah, sure, of course. Shout out to Travis.
Hey.
Like, yeah, of course. Like I've always had a passion for learning, especially in the field that I like. So, even though sound is never something that I wanted to do, I was like, you know what, I want to learn it all. I want to soak it up
Yeah.
as much as I can.
That's really
And
cool.
so, yeah, so he taught me a couple of things. And then from there, I pivoted into where I'm at now, which is cinematography. And I'm really loving it now.
That's a cool pivot because I'm sure you took all the skills that you learned from sound to what you're doing now, and you're doing both probably for some of your own work, right?
Yeah, so actually I did do a project recently, probably last year. I was DPing, and it was a small budget indie shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually doing sound and cinematography at the same time. It was kind of tough, but I was able to handle it because of all the experience that I had doing sound. And it turned out great.
Yeah.
It's not out yet, but when it comes out,
Would you like to talk a little bit about that project? And
yeah, I could say a little bit about it. It's a short film bringing awareness to sex trafficking.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, this was a very powerful story. Right now, it's on Festival Run. It's like a 12-minute short film. So I DP'd it, I did the sound, and I even edited the project as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to see it then.
Yeah, the trailer is out, though. It's on Facebook. I'll definitely have to send you the link.
Okay, yeah. I would love to. We'll share the link
Yeah.
on the official episode.
You're right. I definitely was able to transfer that into a little bit into other areas when I get into projects like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's cool that you're kind of vouching for starting, not at the bottom, but starting humbly and like being willing to learn from those around you.
That's the biggest thing. You definitely have to be willing to learn. You can't be, and there are people like this. You just can't be super arrogant. You like, there's no way you can know it all. There's always something to learn. Even now at the level where I'm at now, like, I'd like to think I'm pretty good. Of where I'm at now, I'm pretty good at, but I don't think I'm the best. Like there's always areas where you can improve for sure. And
There's always room
always
for
having
growth.
that. Yeah, there's always room for growth, and it's having that mindset of like, okay, how could I get better? Like, this is good, I like it, but how can I get better?
And it sounds like you came in eager to learn and that you were blessed with a lot of people around you who are willing to teach.
Yes, yeah, big time.
Yeah, really cool. I'm glad that you shouted all those people out. We're all about shouting out people here.
Yeah, for sure. Lakeisha, we love you.
Especially Lakeisha, we love her. Ahi, if you're here, man, we love you
Ahi,
too. Episode 1, man. Ahi, we were talking about your episode earlier, man.
That's my
We
guy
can't
right
wait to
there.
have you back because you're just awesome. All right, Chris, let's move on.
All right.
Can you tell us about your latest project and what excites you the most about it?
My latest project. So I do have a project that I've written. It's a micro short. I'm actually really excited to shoot it. I'm actually going to shoot it with Ahi, funny thing.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey.
He's going to be but he's going to be in front of the camera this time. So that's going to be
He's
fun.
acting.
Yes, he's going to be acting in this.
We talked about this in this episode. I was like, hey, I think it's your time to be in front of the camera too.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, so he's going to be in front of the camera. So that's my latest project coming up. It's really exciting because actually, funny thing, I was kind of inspired by Ahi because I know he's doing those micro shorts. He's crazy. He's got like 52 of them, right, for the whole year. Yeah, I think it's awesome that he's doing that. So he kind of inspired me a little bit to, be like, you know what? I could make a couple of micro shorts. So I have two written right now. And the one I'm working on next is going to be with him. It's going to be a cool, like, kind of noir detective thriller.
Oh, that sounds fun. So they're both written and they're both going into pre-production?
Yeah, so one's in pre-production now. The other one's going to go after. Yeah, so I'm just getting all the details out now and then getting ready to go shoot it.
Sounds like you're adding another level. Sounds like you're adding writer.
Yeah. So funny enough, like, I'm not really a writer at all. I found that everybody has their own unique skills and talents. For me, I've always thought writing is not really one of it. But at this point, I'm like, you know what? Let me just jump into it and, see what happens,
Yeah.
Because I'm so used to helping others, like Ahi. Ahi's a great writer. Lakeisha is also another great writer.
Definitely.
So I see them and I'm like, okay, I can add my value, like what I can offer will add value to their projects and vice versa, But it's pretty interesting now jumping into their lane. It's like, okay, all right, it's fun. It's unique.
Yeah.
I actually have incorporated, like, I've talked to both of them individually and they've given me some tips on what they, their writing process, and I've kind of incorporated like some things, like I think you mentioned this in your episode with Tag actually about like kind of not quite stealing, but taking ideas and kind of making it, work for you or making it your own. And
you read my mind. Thank you so much for watching episode. That was episode 2, right?
That was episode 2, yeah.
Thank you so much.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome.
I mean, that's totally related. Keep going, please.
No, so it's that. So that's what I'm working on now. Like I said, they're both written already. I'm in pre-production now for the noir film. Really excited for that because it's gonna be, and it's not gonna be super long. It's a micro short, so it's gonna be like 1 to 2 minutes. Actually, 2 minutes exactly.
I think those are awesome. The micro shorts. It's so cool.
It's so challenging.
I bet
it's ridiculously challenging because I'm so used to, especially working on these other short films that I've worked on, and we've worked together on TV series. So it's like, how do you tell a story in like a minute to 2 minutes? Like, how do you get a quick beginning, middle, and end?
Seriously.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you have good people in your corner, to help guide you, but that you're off to a good start. How did it go writing that first one?
Surprisingly, I did better than I thought. Honestly.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Like I thought, I think, and you know this, you're a creative yourself. We kind of get in our own heads a lot sometimes, and we're like, yeah, no, this might not be a good one. And then you put it out there, and you're like, oh, people like it.
Well, you put it out there to people like Rochelle.
Yeah, for sure.
Rochelle, can you come in and weigh in on that?
Of course.
So, can you tell us what it's like when he has something like this project and he is potentially getting in his head and doesn't want to share it with anyone besides himself, besides you? What goes on?
Well, I'm a tough critic, Rachel. Sometimes I have to soften up a little bit, but I just think that adds more to when Chris comes to me for like, hey, how do you think, like, as someone who's not a creative themselves? And so I kind of like give him that other perspective. So I think he appreciates it when I'm honest with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just
Straight
like
shooter.
always trying to see everything that he's doing, as long as he can show it. But I'm just like there. I'm just like so excited to see it because it's so new to me. So I love it.
Does he ever get in a place where he's like, oh, you're just saying that, you're my girlfriend, I don't think it's good enough, I'm going to put it on the shelf, or it's not ready yet, I'm not going to share it?
Yeah, that I feel like a lot of creatives are like that. And yeah, it happens. It happens. So I just got to be understanding. And it's cool when he goes through those times when like he's not talking for a long time. Like I know he's thinking.
in his world.
I'm like, oh man, something's good going to come of this. So
that's
exciting.
Yeah,
it's good to see it as a partner just on the other side of it.
Dang, this is awesome to get your perspective because creatives' other halves are so important. If you don't have someone who's going to be supportive, and in your case, you're also highlighting the fact that it's important to be patient. But if you don't have someone like that in your corner,
yeah, it could be tough.
Yeah,
it could be really tough, especially because especially in our industry, like you're on set for what 10, 12 hours. You could have multi-day shoots, and it's like people are like, if you don't have a supportive partner like that, they're gonna go crazy. Like, what are you doing? Are you cheating on me? Are you doing something else? What's going on here?
I've seen it.
Are you not interested? It's like, no, I'm working. What do you mean? Like,
yeah.
This is work.
Tracking you.
Yeah.
Well, why are you at the 7-Eleven? Well, because the crew needed.
Yeah, they need food. Like, they need snacks.
Right?
Oh
man, no, but seriously, it just goes to show that support, belief, and the patience. Let's go back to the patience, because sometimes someone might be supportive, but they might be pushy and might be like, hell, come on, it's probably ready. Oh, you're just in your head. Saying the things they could be true, but are not helpful in the moment, especially for someone creative and artistic, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Anything else you can add to that?
I'm just super excited that we were able to be a part of Arigato Vibes, and I'm so excited to see what's coming.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. I'll jump in whenever you guys need me again.
I was gonna say we're
Thanks,
gonna have
baby.
you jump in. I love it. Chris, how do you approach storytelling in your films and content?
That's a really good question. So I'm more of a technical filmmaker. So, and I think it's because of the way I studied in film school. Like there are some creators, like you know who's a good example, like Ahi. Ahi is like a visionary, like that guy could envision something, and it's like I am not like that. I can to a degree because we're creatives. We can visualize.
Yeah.
But I look at the technical aspect of it. Like, okay, logistically, how can we do this? You know, oh, I think it would be cool if we do this angle, that angle, whatever. You know, so that's how I approach it. So I have a more of a technical approach.
I see what you're saying.
and
As
I-
opposed to like a story.
So yes, the story is a big part of it. The story is important. Of course, you want the story to make sense. Let me preface this by saying, of course, the story is first. You gotta have the story. If you don't have the story, you don't have a good film, you know, or a good story. You know, you don't have a project, so to speak. So yeah, you start with the story, but then I jump into the technical side and try to see, okay, what would be cool visually? So a lot of times when I watch movies or other directors, I say, okay, what did this shot say? And why did this make you feel this way? So that's the approach that I kind of take with whatever project I jump on. So for example, I helped Ahi with Ghost of Maryland. I DP'd that project.
Heck yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I saw it.
Yeah, it was and so with that one, you know, he had the vision, he wrote it, obviously, he directed it and everything. But we collaborated really well with each other because I brought in like, okay, you want to do this, but let's see how we can do it technically. Like, how can we? So, for example, like there was one shot that we did where he wanted a top-down shot of Marilyn dancing, and I was like, oh, okay, how do we do this? Because, you know, it's funny talking to him when we were talking through it. I remember this. This was funny. He's like, I have no idea how I saw this in my head. I was, you know, but we can't hang the camera off the ceiling with like some fishing line or something. And I'm like, no. There's got to be a more technical way to do this, like a safer way to do it.
Your mind went to work.
Yeah, my mind went to work, and you know, we did it. We pulled it off with some grip equipment. We were able to use a C stand and have safety cables, and it looked great.
Oh, that's
we were
so
able
cool.
to do it, and I was
Do
able
you
to
happen to have a
monitor.
picture of that setup?
I do, and I can send it to you.
Okay,
so you can put it
'cause
up
that sounds
later. Yeah, I have
really
it.
cool.
I have it. Yeah, and you could even see like maybe we'll do like a side by side, so you
That
can
would
see
be
the shot, and then you could see what we.
The before and after.
Yeah.
Or no, the actual shot, like what was going behind the scenes, and then what it looked like.
So I think I have a test shot, like a still of me and Ahi like standing under the camera, just
cool.
to see if it worked.
Oh, that's awesome.
So but I'll find that and I'll send it to you.
Okay, we'll have to share that. You know, you're reminding me of Walt Disney and his brother. Have you ever heard about that relationship?
No.
I don't know too much about it, so don't quote me, everybody. But from what I gather, Walt Disney had. Hi, buddy. This is Kovu.
Kovu. Hello. Oh! Don't be knocking the mic over now.
Sweet boy.
He wants.
Sweetheart. You can lay down. Go ahead.
He wants the limelight.
So Walt Disney was a creative, and he had all these visions of
Right.
before Disney World was a thing, before all these
Right.
movies were a thing. He had this vision for this world, and that's how he was thinking. And his brother reminds me of you in the sense of, all right, well, how are we gonna get it done?
Yeah.
You know, this is the vision. You didn't think it all the way through,
Yeah.
but yet we're still gonna find a way to make it happen together.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool when you describe your relationships with Ahi, with with Lakeisha.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, so it's almost like everybody has like, you know, everybody has a unique gift or something, and in this industry especially, you have a unique talent. So, and every role, especially in filmmaking, it's a vital piece of this puzzle. So I'm just a piece in the puzzle, and when you connect well with the other pieces, you get something that's really special.
It's true. And I like what you bring to the table is this blend of technicality and art fused into one.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot, like you said, there's a lot of technical aspects to it, but you have to be creative. I'm like, that shot you were just describing, which we're going to show, I mean, you got to get creative for that.
Of course, when you hear like a specific thing that a director wants, or you read it in a script and you're like, oh, that's so cool, but wait. That's my mind goes. It's like, but wait, how are we gonna do that? And then it excites me, because then I'm like, it's a challenge. Like, if it's especially if it's something pretty tough, you're like, all right, how could I do it with the means or with the budget that you have? Mm-hmm. Or maybe you don't have a budget and you're like, all right, how do I do this with no budget?
Okay. And I was gonna say, do you ever have to tell them, listen, your budget's not there, you're not gonna be able to do what...
I mean, that's happened before, with other clients and stuff like that, where they'll ask for something that's like, okay, but do you have the budget for that? I mean, if your budget's not there, maybe but I always give them alternatives, of course. There's always another way, you can say, have the same effect, but show it differently. Mm-hmm. There's definitely ways you could do that. I've had to do that before in other projects, and there's always another way to do something. You don't always have to stay stuck on the idea you had. I mean, unless, like I said, if you have the budget and you have the time and the means, by all means do it, Not all of us have, studio backlots that can blow cars up and stuff like that, but today there's so much available to us now, especially with now AI coming into the picture. Visual effects is like easier than that. It's not super easy, but it's more attainable now than it was like years ago. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's more feasible.
That's awesome. So speaking on AI, I had a question about that. What role do you think that these new technologies such as virtual reality or AI will play in the future of filmmaking?
So with virtual reality, well, I don't know so much. Do you mean like virtual production and stuff like that? Like with what they're doing with the screens?
Yeah. In terms of anything. So it could be from asking AI to help with writing the story or with editing the project. I know that some of these softwares have AI capabilities now where it'll do something that would take you a long time. It might do it like that.
Yeah, like that. So I think AI is pretty cool. On the other hand, though, I do think it's you cannot rely too much on it. So there's certain things that it's really good at, and certain things that's like, okay, you need that human element to it. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, if especially like, let's say you're writing a film or a short film, whatever, it's your story. You don't want AI to tell the story for you.
Right.
And actually, I read something. It was like actually a couple months back. Someone ran tests on AI and stuff like that, because filmmakers were talking about that for like script writing and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And one person was saying that you got to be careful because the AI is it made me jump for a sec.
Same.
The AI is taught how to help us, right? Someone has to train the AI how to do it. And the AI is sourcing things from Google, from the internet, from different sources. So you got to be careful if you're integrating something from AI into your script or something. You got to make sure that it's, possibly not copyright or anything like that.
Oh, wow. That's a good point.
Yeah. So, for example, I have used AI to write some scripts, or to actually not with scripts, for story outlines, just to structure it better, because my structure is like all over the place. Okay. Because I'm just writing or typing as I'm thinking. Okay. So I have used like ChatGPT, for example, for like helping me outline. So I'll tell it everything, all the information that I came up with, and it'll just structure it for me. Sometimes it'll try to change things, but I don't like the way it does it. I insert my own element into it. But I take the structure, and then that helps me later on when I'm in the writing process. I'm like, okay, everything's nice and neat here. So to your point, AI can help a lot with tools like that.
That's awesome.
I think we have to be careful not to rely on it like a crutch, but to just use it as what it's meant to be, and that's a tool. It's just to aid you. Like you said, save time.
Enhance your workflow.
Enhance your workflow, save time. And virtual production now is really cool too, because now it gives indie filmmakers an edge now.
Mm.
You know, now we don't need, I don't know, like if you can figure it out, a way to, you know, learn it and how to do it properly with CGI and all that stuff, or you get VFX editors. You know, you don't gotta film on locations anymore. You know, you don't gotta film in Rome. You can build Rome. You know, like it's crazy. It's crazy what we're able to do now with AI.
It's true. And I feel like that ties into what we were talking about right before, where you're someone who thinks outside the box. You're somebody who's very open. Instead of saying to a director, you don't have the budget, it's not possible. You're saying, okay, here's what we're working with. How can we make this happen? There's got to be some way to bring your vision to life with what we've got. And with the use of AI, now you can be real creative. Don't you feel like?
Yeah, you could. I mean, it's not quite there yet. I think it will get there.
Okay.
I still think there's some things that we're just not there yet. We can't do. But like I said, we can work around it. So like, it's all about, I guess, making the client understand like, hey, we can't do exactly that, but if we do this, so this is the good thing is if you're a professional in your field and you know what you're doing, you can assure the client like, hey, you know, we can't quite do that, but if we can do this another way that tells the exact same thing. And a lot of times they'll go, oh, you know, I didn't even think of that. That'll work.
That's the element you bring to the table.
And that's the element, that's the element I bring to the table.
Isn't that what you love about film, is that it's such a team sport?
Oh, it's very collaborative. Yeah, one person can't do it all. I mean, it's just, it's too much.
It is too much.
I mean, imagine if you were by yourself on this podcast.
Shout out to Rochelle and Chris for helping me set up for today's podcast. All these stands and whatnot that you see.
No, but even then, like, it's so much better when you have a team to help you.
Oh, yeah. It's more fun that way, too.
It's more fun. It's collaborative. You get to, you know, that you build that camaraderie. Especially you and I, we've worked together, I don't know how many times now, but we've worked together on a few projects now.
Yeah. Starting with Lakeisha's Shiny New Things.
Shiny New Things, yeah.
Then we've worked together on her Ascendance.
And I'm pretty sure
music video that you did.
Yep.
That you directed and edited. And I feel like there's another thing.
I feel like there's something else.
Oh, Kiss the Sun, a short film that everybody should check out.
Yeah, Kiss the Sun. Yeah, that was another one.
The workshop.
Oh, and the workshop. Look at you.
See? I directed that one. That's right.
You know what? A second ago, we were talking about when a director makes a specific request and you're like, how can I give that essence?
Yeah.
There was one shot in Kiss the Sun where my character was opening the medicine box with a vial.
Yeah.
And I remember you did something like the camera.
Yeah, the Dutch angle. Yeah.
Yeah, the Dutch angle.
Yeah, so that right there. I mean, that's a technique that's been used forever. I mean, Alfred Hitchcock used that a lot in his old films. Like, that's just, it's an iconic shot that just tells you something is off. Because there's a lot of psychology in filmmaking, too.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think, for example, Ahi mentioned it in the first episode, talking about how, I don't remember who said it, but that films are made behind a desk. You know, everything is planned. And I agree with that, because when you're making a movie, like, everything is planned. Nothing is, yes, there are things that had, like, happy accidents, you know, like, oh, that timing went off right.
Or improvising.
Or improvising. It's like, wow, that was better than whatever I wrote.
Yeah.
You know, whatever the case may be, but everything is planned. There's nothing that is unplanned, typically.
That's true. I love that. I love that about film too. It's so purposeful. It's so intentional.
Yes.
And go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say every second counts.
Yeah.
On set.
Every second counts. Yeah.
Because you're paying people, or just trying to be efficient. You have cameras on battery and
yeah, exactly. I mean, and you're trying to, you know, the what I love about it is that you're being collaborative. You're getting everybody together to make something whether it's to entertain people, you know, to bring awareness to something. Like I mentioned that project that I did last year, that was an awareness project, and it's so powerful that you can bring people together to do a project like that, or even just to entertain. You want to make something that's fun and funny. You want to make people laugh. You want to make people cry. Whatever it is, it's really cool that there's so much psychology that goes on behind it.
Oh yeah. Have you seen the film Sound of Freedom?
No, I've been dying to watch it, but I don't know why I haven't gotten to it yet. But I'm dying to watch it.
Okay, so you've heard of it though.
I've heard
and
of
you're
it.
excited
Of course.
to watch it.
Yeah, I'm excited to
Okay,
watch it.
because you with the film you were telling me about, the short film.
Yeah.
It reminded me of that one.
Yeah, it has to do. Yes, that's related. Yeah, it's related to sex trafficking. Yeah.
And I won't like give any spoilers because I'm not like that. But
Appreciate it.
I will say that that film did exactly what you were just talking about, of blending that raising of awareness
Yeah.
and putting emotional and psychological themes and feelings in the film too.
Yeah, because you're trying to, especially with a film like that, where any film that's trying to raise awareness, you really want people to understand the weight of seriousness, with whatever it is, whatever it's related to. You want that to be felt.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I love about cinema in general. It's a language.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but one movie can make you feel like so many emotions in the 1 hour and whatever you're sitting there.
It's true.
And it's crazy, but it's also
say that again?
it's beautiful
You just
at the
said
same
something
time.
golden a second ago. You just said, what did you say? You said something about language. Can you say that
Cinema,
again?
it's a language.
It really is. I've never thought about it, but it really truly is.
Yeah.
It can express so much emotion the same way words do, but even more so, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I actually, I never used to think like that, especially when I was starting out. I'm just like, I just want to make movies. Like, it's fun. Like, it's exciting. It's fun when you try something new. When I started getting better at my craft with cinematography and getting into, like, understanding lighting and things like that, it's like, there's a whole, it's like learning a language. And it is a language, because if you understand the language of cinema, you can invoke all those emotions that I'm talking about.
And if you don't, how are you going to make people feel that way?
Exactly. And you know this because if you've seen bad movies, they're just not, they don't evoke those feelings.
They fall flat.
Just fall flat, yeah. You watch it and you're like, that didn't land.
You're
Especially if it's like trying to be a comedy. You're like,
Right.
That's not funny. Like it didn't land, the joke didn't land.
What makes it land? The emotion? The psychology? The planning? All of it?
I think it's a combination of everything because, you're an actress. You can bring something like, okay, I could write a scene for you. And I can have this idea of how the scene is going to go. And I want it this way. But you can bring your perspective into it and say, I don't think my character would do this. Or maybe they would do it like this. Maybe you could bring a whole nother idea. You can invoke another feeling into it.
Right.
Or maybe we can meet in the middle and it's like, oh, wow, I didn't think of that. You didn't think of that. And you're like, or you did think of it, but it's like, whoa, we just created cinematic magic right here.
Together,
yeah. And that's why I think that collaboration comes in.
Yes. It turns that into a more well-rounded and colorful project when more people have their input on it, as opposed to if it's just one person who says, it's my precious, I get to make every single decision,
Yeah.
the color, the sound, the words.
Right.
That would be so one-dimensional, potentially.
Yeah, potentially. Now, again, not to get it confused, because, that doesn't mean that every project you get on, you should accept everybody's, opinion on a certain thing, because what could happen is you'll get so many different ideas or things thrown at you, and it just takes it basically muddies the story or the original vision that you had. You still want your vision to be in there, especially if you're the writer director or you wrote it. You want the essence to be there.
So don't lose your sense of vision.
Yeah, so don't lose your sense of vision. You still want your story to be told, but be open to collaboration. If someone's bringing you a good idea, consider it and see how you could piece it in. And try it, see it for yourself in your head. Okay, does that look good? Or maybe talk to a few other collaborators. like I said with my script, I didn't just send it to one person, or I didn't just write it myself and go, all right, call up the actors, let's do this thing. You know,
it's good.
like,
we're ready.
yeah, it's good. We're ready. It's like, I could do that. And then let's say I want you for a project. You're going to be like, yo, Chris.
Did anybody else read this?
Yeah.
Am I the first one to read this?
Yeah. why would I say this? You know, it's like, what? Does this make sense? So you got to have that collaborative effort and get different inputs for sure. Like, don't be closed off to that, but don't accept too much either.
So let's play a little game. Let's dive maybe a year into the future, maybe less.
Okay.
You're the director. I'm the actress.
All right.
You've written this story. You've made the plan.
Okay.
The scene is ready to go.
Okay.
And I come in there and I mess with the paragraph you wrote a little bit. How do you feel?
So every director's different. Personally, I'm okay with it as long as it makes sense and it falls in line with the story. I'll give you an example. If your character's supposed to be this badass, right? And you say something that's makes you look cowardly, it's gonna be off and be like, no, that doesn't make sense.
It's not my character.
Not your character.
Not the character I created.
Your character's not fearful. Your character is fearless. So why would you say something fearful, right? So that wouldn't make sense. But yeah, if you change a little bit of something that I wrote and it sounds good and it looks good, I'm not opposed to that. There are directors that want you to say exactly what they write. I think, don't quote me on this, but I think M. Night Shyamalan is like that.
Really?
Yeah, I think I read something along
That's the
lines.
word?
Yeah, I think that he when he
Which is cool, right?
works with his films, but it works. He has the vision, and his movies are good.
Yeah,
some of them. I mean, most of them. But yeah, some directors are like that. They want you to they wrote it, they planned it, they wanna see their vision through, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's awesome. For me as an actress, it makes me excited to work with you because it says you want me as the actress to be focused on who the character you created is, but you want to see what I can bring to the table, and you're okay if I have a different way of expressing it, especially if it evokes that emotion that you were looking for.
Right.
And it came out maybe different or even better than you were thinking.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, yeah, I'm not opposed to that at all. I think I actually encourage it because I think things like that make the films better. I mean, it happens a lot in Hollywood movies too. Some actors will improvise lines and it ends up in the movie.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I can't imagine this scene without what this
Right.
character's saying. You know, like I can't imagine it any differently.
I always love seeing the relationship between the director and the lead actor. And especially when it's like nice and loose like that, where I have so much trust in you and vice versa, and go out there and get it. And they're just making magic and having fun. It's like watching two kids, but grown adults, you know what I'm saying?
Honestly, I think it's funny because when you look at filmmakers, it's like, it brings me back to, like I said, when I was a little kid and I used to like make these little things with my action figures. Now I'm just doing it, but like as an adult
with real
people, and like, but I'm not maneuvering you. You're maneuvering you, but within the boundaries of whatever story we're trying to tell.
Yeah, and it's via communication, right? You're not moving the human.
Yeah, an inanimate object, right? I'm talking to a human, and I'm telling you exactly, you know, hey, this is the story, this is the character, blah blah blah, and we're now collaborating and making it an awesome project.
Making movie magic.
Yeah, movie magic.
It sounds like we have to do this soon.
Yeah, we have to. Don't worry, I have something.
Oh, you're cooking something up.
Cooking something up.
What?
Yeah.
You see the smile? So, what are the biggest challenges that you faced in the filmmaking industry, and how did you overcome them?
Okay, one challenge that I could think of right now is probably creative slumps. I think that happens to a lot of different creatives. We get excited about a certain niche or aspect of filmmaking, and you do it for a little bit. You try again, like you always try new things, and then sometimes you're like, I don't like this. But maybe, so for example, in the commercial video space, you know, obviously your goal is to make money. You got to eat, right?
Right.
So maybe there's a certain type of project that you're not really passionate about, but you're good at it, and it's what makes you money. So I feel like overcoming that, where it's like, okay, how do I overcome wanting to do something that I'm passionate about, but also that, hey, like I gotta eat, you know?
Right. Got to pay the bills.
So that's one, overcoming creative slumps. That could be pretty tough. Um, I'm actually, I've actually been going through that right now, actually. How I'm trying to overcome it now is trying to explore other areas that can help feed that passion. So I think
That's a
to
good way to
give a
put it.
prime example, I'm going to mention Ahi again, but where he actually talked about it, where he was saying, you know, he wanted to do those micro shorts to fill that void into in between projects.
Yeah.
You know, he can do something really creative and express himself, and that's a nice outlet. So I'm thinking of doing something like that
Yeah, you
to
guys
kind of,
share that drive.
yeah, we share that because him and I both do commercial video together. You know, that's what our main thing is, that we, you know, how we make money. And we've talked about it before. We've had discussions about it, and we're like, yeah, you know, because both of us just want to make movies, you know,
Mhm.
but you gotta do something that, you know, can help pay the bills until you're able to get to that point.
I mean, that's huge right there. So let's talk about that for a little bit because I feel like that applies to any creative industry,
I
whether it's
agree. Yeah.
music or film.
Yeah.
You have this desire to be a director or a cinematographer, but you need to pay the bills.
Yeah.
How do you make that jump? The gap seems so wide at first.
Yeah, I think part of it is fear. There's like this fear aspect to it. You're like, oh, I've never done this before. It actually, I could tell you what, it happened to me when I did jump into cinematography because everybody knew me as the sound guy.
Mm.
Funny enough, I still get calls sometimes for people asking for sound.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you know, and when I first transitioned, it was hard for me to say, no, I don't do sound anymore. You know, I do cinematography because I
Because
was
of
so
the
used to, well, because of the money,
money.
and I was so used to saying yes. You know, you'd say
Mhm.
yes to every
Yes, man.
project. Yes, man. Yeah, saying yes to every project. And when I first transitioned, it was really hard. But after a while, I was like, you know what? And honestly, what really helped me was Rochelle's encouragement too. She's like, you know, you're like, this is what you do now. You know, this is you should really lean into that, and you know, lean into that and let people know. And then so I started doing that, and I started, you know, showcasing my work. I'm working on my website right now, so unfortunately I can't point people to it, but when I'm done, you
I'll
know,
add it on once you're
we'll
done.
add it. Yeah. um and I was showcasing my work and stuff like that, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm a cinematographer now. You know, sound no more.
It's a decision. It's a internal decision, and one you made with Rochelle. It's like, hey, isn't this what you want to do? So it comes a point where you're gonna have to say no to those jobs and take the risk
Yeah.
and create the space for what you really want to do.
Yeah, and honestly, it's been great because I've gotten, ever since then, like I said, I don't do sound anymore. I do all cinematography, and the experiences I've had have been awesome. Like, they've been great. I'm so glad I decided to do that,
Yeah. No
and it
looking
stays
back.
stuck. No looking back. No.
That's so awesome. I'm glad to hear that. That's really cool. Let's cover some advice that you'd give to people starting out. I feel like we already are on that track a little bit,
Yeah.
talking about the things we're talking about. So, what would you say to someone, a young Chris, a 17-year-old Chris, who had these dreams? What would you say to him?
I would say always be willing to learn. When you first start out, just be willing to learn. Be a joy to work with, for sure. Always be a joy to work with, because that goes miles beyond, you know. But with those two in combination, I think those are the best things. Be willing to learn and be a joy to work with.
What is being a joy to work with?
So being a joy to work with, like, just always being pleasant, being nice on set, you know, don't treat anybody, like, just treat others how you want to be treated, you know, be respectful, you know, don't, if you're, for example, like, if you're a production assistant, don't try to give unnecessary input. Don't try to, you know, overstep in any way. You know, just stay in your lane, do your role, concentrate on your role, be respectful, be nice, and people remember that. Like, you'd be surprised, like, people remember that.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the things that I remembered about you starting off. Oh, man, who was that? Is that Chris? He's awesome. And Ron, he's awesome too. Like these are all awesome people.
Yeah. Like and notice we still work with each other.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's one of the things about one of the cool things about this industry is with those two things. So I would say to a young person, you'd be surprised you're gonna meet people that you're gonna continue to work with throughout the years.
They become your family.
Yeah, they become your family. They become good friends, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I think we need to shout out Lakeisha.
Yeah, shout out Lakeisha.
Thank you so much for putting this family together. Look at this family you've created.
Yes, look at this. You got us here.
And we'll be working together, I think, for the long haul. So it's just exciting.
Yeah, so that the cool thing is we'll be working together, for years to come.
Yeah.
And what's cool, so if you're like that with almost pretty much everybody you work with, you'd be surprised how the network that you build. You're basically you would have built a nice network to where you'll always have people to work with. Like honestly, because of that, most of the business that I've gotten is all word of mouth. I don't really market, to be honest with you. I don't market at all.
I mean, it says a lot.
Yeah. I mean, now I do obviously want to change that and I do want to market, but word of mouth is still like one of the best things.
Oh, yeah. It has the most weight. People believe it the most.
Yeah. People will remember how you were on set. If you were on time, that's a big one. If you're be on time, always be on time. They'll remember that stuff and they'll want to hire you again. People would prefer to work with somebody who has a really good attitude over someone who's better skilled. So even if there's someone on set that's knows way more, but if their personality sucks and they're not a joy to work with, you'll be getting called before them.
Wow.
And I've seen that happen.
You are dropping gems here. I hope everybody who's interested in diving into the film industry, any industry, I feel like this would apply to, is listening, because you're talking about being humble. You're talking about showing up. You're talking about being eager to learn. And you're talking about, what was the last thing you said?
Being humble, being eager to learn, be a joy to work with.
Being pleasant. That was it. Sorry.
Pleasant, yeah.
Being that I feel like is the most important one that could easily be brushed to the side as that's important. Yeah, that's
like,
right.
Yeah,
but
I'm nice.
I think that might be one of the most important things is to be a pleasant human being to work with. Be helpful.
Yeah,
Don't
absolutely.
act like entitled when you're walking around a set. Look around because everybody's running around with their heads cut off.
Yeah, so always be willing to help out. But I will say this because it is this can happen. So like just a little warning too. Always help out and always be willing to help out. But there are times where you can be taken advantage of. So you also have to discern when it's like, okay, when are you staying in your lane and when are you like crossing and someone, unfortunately there are those that will take advantage of you and try to, overwork you or something like that.
Right. Especially if you're coming in as the yes man, which seems like it's an important part of the beginning process.
Yeah, exactly. And then, that's very true. Especially in I learned that especially in commercial filmmaking. When I started in commercial filmmaking, which was not that long ago, 2021 is when I started doing commercial.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of yes men and people that'll, they'll do work for really cheap and they want to be the cheapest. But I see it as a race to the bottom. If you're always saying yes, you're going to run into that one client or potential client that's going to take advantage and you're going to be overworked and then you're going to burn out and then you're going to become bitter because you're like, oh man, like this is not what I thought it was. Mm-hmm. So you do got to discern and watch out and be careful. Like, okay, when do I need to, what do I need to look out for?
Is this person being genuine or are they taking advantage of me?
Exactly, yeah.
So it seems like this journey, because it's very much what it is, a journey, has a lot of transitions all throughout. Earlier we were talking about transitioning from doing sound to cinematography, making
Yeah.
those decisions where, hey, maybe I was a sound guy, but now I'm not.
Yeah.
That's a transition. And another transition is going from the yes man to the
Yeah.
let me
Yeah.
consider this. Are you being genuine? Is this going to help me?
Yeah.
Or is this going to help you? Or are you kind of just joshing me around? Can you get an intern to do
Yeah, and
this?
you have to weigh your options too, because and like I said, for me, so this was another transition. I actually didn't mention this, but going from because I started out in narrative, and narrative is my passion. I will always do narrative. But then I jumped into the commercial space. That was actually another mini transition because it was kind of like starting over. I actually started out as a PA again, but on commercial productions. And I had to learn that, like being the yes man, all that, being there, and learning, okay, but now it's not just being a yes man, but it has to do with now, okay, I'm doing work for a certain rate. And now, am I always going to accept this kind of role? Because you grow too and you progress.
Yeah.
So eventually your rate should increase and grow. And so you got to know when to say, okay, I'm no longer going to take jobs that X amount because I'm past that. I earned my stripes, so to speak.
Right.
But of course there are exceptions to that. If you're working with friends and things like that, and of course you wanna be helpful. That's different. But yeah, that was another transition I had to go through also with commercial video.
Wow. So there's full of transitions. There's something to that, huh?
Yeah. So you do you wear multiple hats as you go.
Yeah.
But if you're passionate about filmmaking and you love it, each step you're gonna fall in love with, and then you're gonna like fall off and go to the next thing, and it's a journey, like you said. It's very much exactly what it is. It's a journey.
It's a journey, but don't be fearful of that. If you love what you're doing,
Exactly.
the right decisions will make themselves available to you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. So let's jump into the next topic. How do you stay creative and motivated in such a competitive industry?
I think staying creative, definitely taking on, if you take on passion projects, those help out a lot because you're able to be more creative. So like I said, with my business, I mostly work on commercial projects. I don't want to use this term, but I'm going to use it, so to speak, because when you're doing certain projects, it's almost like cookie cutter, like you're doing the same type of project over and over. It can get a little mundane and you can kind of get burned out doing it.
Okay.
And so to offset that, I would say, you take on passion projects. So like some of the projects that we've worked on together with Lakeisha, you work on those type of projects. And for me, those fill my cup. So I love any opportunity to jump on those, I'll do it. But sometimes there's commercial projects that are really cool. Like I've been fortunate and blessed enough to be a part of some really cool projects. For example, one big one was I think it was a couple of years ago when Floyd Mayweather fought Logan Paul. Like I was actually a part of that production team.
Wow.
I was a production assistant for that, but it was for Showtime. And it was really cool process to be a part of that. Like I was there for the whole thing. Like when he did the whole
exciting.
Got your hat, and I was like right there when it happened. And you learn some cool things from there. And so there's projects like that like it's like, okay, this is kind of cool because it's like sort of narrative because it's like documentary style.
So one way to fuel yourself is by keeping passion projects on your timeline.
Yeah, whatever it is, just staying busy, even like actually I did start YouTube a little bit last year and I kind of like dropped off, but now I kind of want to get back into it. So stay tuned. I'll be coming out some stuff for that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so it's just stuff like that. Look for other creative outlets that you can express yourself, and that'll help keep you, sane.
I love that. So let's talk about something you're really passionate about, which you just mentioned a little bit ago, which is narrative.
Yeah. Can
you tell our viewers what narrative is and why you love it so much?
Sure. So narrative is anything with a story. There's other commercial projects commercials have stories, right? You watch a commercial and you invokes emotions and feelings. But what I mean is like films, Documentaries, even there's documentaries are narrative because there's a beginning, middle, and end. Anything with a beginning, middle, and end is basically a narrative. I enjoy those because those are the most fun. They're the most creative outlet from what I've experienced so far. Like I said, with commercial, it can get kind of cookie cutter. Like if you're doing a podcast, you're doing the same setup every time, and it becomes rinse and repeat.
For sure.
And if you enjoy that, there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. I mean, I enjoy it too from time to time, but what really fills my cup is the narrative projects because every project is different. Shiny New Things, it was different from Ascendance.
Is that considered a narrative?
Yeah, those are narratives because they're TV series, but yeah, those are narrative projects because they're episodic. There's a beginning, middle, and end. So and
this is awesome.
They're more creative. They're more creative.
So for it to be considered narrative, it has to have a story that has a beginning, middle, and end.
Very story driven, yeah. Story driven has a beginning, middle, and end. Yes.
Is there any speaking in the narratives? Is that a component of it?
Well, no, because if you remember, we had silent films, back in like
and those
the
were
20s.
Still narratives.
Those were narratives because you were telling a story, just through music.
So right? Don't confuse narrative with narration.
Yeah. Okay. No, because some people today still make silent films.
Yeah.
Like really awesome ones.
Yeah.
But no. Yeah, it just has to have a story.
Gotcha. Okay. So you love it because it's story driven?
Yes. Because if you think about it, when you're watching a movie, for those 2 hours or whatever long it is, you're transported in there. Like we don't think about it because we're watching the movie and you're there. But if you were to think about it afterwards, you're like, I just sat here for 2 hours and I got completely thrown into someone else's world. Whether that be a sci-fi in space or a period piece back in the 20s. Like, I just got sucked into this for 2 hours.
The power of cinema, huh?
It's the power of cinema. So it's like, that's what I love about it. It's like if you're a filmmaker, you're transporting them into another world.
That's true. I mean, that's my favorite. That's my favorite part about going to the movies is I feel like I get to be in a different world. I put myself usually in the place of the lead character or a character I like. Yeah. And you're the superhero, I don't know if everybody watches a movie like that, but I'm just I live in that world for those couple hours.
Yeah, there you go. And it affects everybody differently. Everybody has different feelings. One of the things I like watching movies, but I really love watching movies with other people. So Rochelle, she doesn't really she was not really a movie person when I first met her. She was more of a TV show person, and I was the opposite. I'm a movie person, but not so much TV. So we kind of now shown each other those things. So now she's shown me TV shows, and I'm like, oh, now I'm getting into it. And then I show her movies, and she's really into it, and it's super cool. My favorite thing is to watch a movie with someone that's never seen it before. Maybe it's a movie that you've seen. Okay. Or a movie that you both haven't seen.
To watch their reaction.
To watch their reaction.
Do you guys do that together a lot? Come on in, Rochelle.
Yeah, we do that a lot, actually.
All right. Yeah, so...
Extra special guest, Rochelle.
Hey, guys. Yeah, he got me into action. So I used to not even watch movies at all. And Chris got me into action movies, so... I just can't stop watching them now. And I think that passion rubs off. His passion for movies excitement has big time rubbed off on me. And I love movies now. I can sit through them. I couldn't sit through a movie before. I just but when someone's truly passionate, like you guys, it's it just rubs off.
Oh, I love that. Cool. Yeah. That's so cool. So before that, you were more into the TV shows and he made you open to the movies?
Yes. He just made me open to every aspect of movie making, not just sitting down to watch a movie, but just in general, being on set. And I never felt that amount of unity when a cast gets togetger and they're they're helping each other out, and I never felt that before.
Well, so I've seen really you on set, and I can see that you're so pumped up, and you have this aura and you help everybody out. So it's awesome to see you on set. I've been on set with you a few times. I think you were on the workshop.
That was the first time I met you.
Yeah.
Actually, we were talking about it yesterday.
That's awesome. Yeah. And you were helping out so much. I thought you were helping out so much. I thought you were part of that world. I thought that's what you did too.
That was like my first time on set with we had just started dating. So
that was fresh.
I was like, he's testing me.
Oh, yeah. Can you tell everybody what you actually do?
Yes, so I am totally the opposite of Chris. He's fun, and I do commercial real estate. So having a little break with Chris and like going to see what he does for a living, it's like completely different to what I do on a daily basis, and so I
fires you up.
Oh yeah,
I can tell. I love it.
Yeah,
you bring such a great energy. Like Chris brings a great energy all by himself, and then you as his partner are so complimentary of that. And
I love that.
Well, you on your own. Are awesome.
I'm always his. I like we push each other up. Like when he's in my work stuff, he always like comes through, and so when it's his time to shine, it's his time to shine. So.
That's so cool. I love that for you guys, and I love that you show up to his place of work sometimes whenever you can, and you're active and you're excited and you're supportive. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I would like for you to stick around if you don't mind.
Of course.
Because we're going to jump into our real talk segment. And I feel like since it's real talk, we need you here.
All right.
So our real talk segment for today, we're going to be talking about modern filmmaking's uncharted territories. What areas or trends do you think are the most exciting or most challenging right now?
It's a really good question.
We're thinking into the future.
I would think the most interesting thing now is, like I said earlier, is like the whole AI. How far is AI gonna go into, this modern filmmaking landscape? Because now I don't know if you heard of Sora AI. Have you heard of that?
Mm-mm.
No, you haven't heard of Sora?
Oh my I'm excited.
Gosh. And now they're trying to. So okay, let me tell you what it is first.
Okay.
And for those of you that don't know, Sora AI is basically it's a text-based video creator AI. Wow. And they shown examples. You can look it up. It's by the same people that did ChatGPT. It's not out yet, I don't think. But basically, you can type. So they gave an example. They have examples on the website. But it's like California during the gold rush. Like you want a scene for your film. Boom, pops it up. What? Straight up. And now, of course, it's not like with faces and stuff. It's not like there yet. The technology's not there. It still looks a little AI, like animated.
You type something and it created it.
They did a freaking movie trailer, a space movie trailer, a movie trailer for like a space movie.
You saw
crazy.
It?
Yeah, it's on their website. If you go look on their website,
send me that. I want to see that. That's
crazy.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, this is gonna be crazy.
Okay.
And it worries me a little because I'm like, how is that going to affect these other companies that do like stock footage? Because right now, if you want something that you can have like a shot of the New York City, for example, but you don't have the budget to go fly to New York and get some B-roll, you would have to go to a stock footage company, right? And purchase the clip or purchase the membership or whatever it is, and you can incorporate it into your project.
Right.
But with that, and they're trying to add it, I think, I don't know, don't quote me on this either, but I think they're trying to incorporate it with Adobe Premiere. So it's like you have that at your fingertips. Sky's the limit.
Is it going to put them out of business?
I don't know. That's something that I just thought of right now.
Like, so these are good questions.
This is a very good question. So I think AI is one of the bigger ones. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So real talk. If someone like Rochelle, who's passionate about what you do,
okay,
but is involved in another industry, but woke up tomorrow morning and said, I want to write a movie or a short film today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Has AI write it for her? Is like, hey, call Ahi, call Lakeisha, call the team, call Rachel.
Yeah, right.
We're ready. Is that cool with you? Is that fine? Because some people are going to do that. I think.
Look, I think now it's even easier to get started. as opposed to probably not. When I started, it was still pretty simple to get into. Well, we didn't have AI when I started, but I'm talking way back then. They didn't have that. You know, it was harder to get into this. Now it's just so much easier. Everything's more affordable. Well, to the standard of our industry, because you know our industry gets expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I remember telling her like, "Oh wow, this is so cheap," and then she would look at the price and go, "That's cheap?" Like, and then I'm like, "Well, yeah, it's cheap for us."
Right. Depends who's watching, right?
Yeah, depends who's watching. Like, I don't actually think it's cheap, but by the standards of our
Compared
industry,
to the camera or something
yeah,
else.
you know, compared to this, it's like, all right.
Right.
But yeah, I think I think it's fine. You know, it's
Yeah.
accessible now. I think it's cool because I feel like if I would have had this when I started, who knows? I'd probably be further ahead. I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe.
That's another good question.
Yeah.
I love that this segment is provoking questions in our mind, which is good. This is what we need to do if we're going to keep up with the evolution of AI. If someone's using AI for the entire editing process and that cuts out the editor, do you think that AI is going to take too many jobs away from the industry?
Okay, so a lot of people are scared of that. Again, I think you need that human touch. AI is just not going to be able to do it all. You know, I mean, I'm sure it'll look good. Like, I'm sure it'll be cool, but there's something about when a human creates something that's like, whoa, you know, it's magical. It's like you when you sing or when you create music. It's like when I watch you sing or whatever, it's like, whoa, like, wow, she can sing, like, that's awesome.
Thank you.
It's pretty cool. Or anything creative, it's magical when you're watching humans create stuff. So I can't imagine you like watching a computer create something and it's like it's, and I also feel like because it's a computer, there's gonna be that cookie cutter type thing where like everything's gonna look somewhat the same.
Right.
And it's gonna feel off. Like you're gonna see it and be like, something's not right.
That's a good point.
Like,
Rochelle, do you think we'll reach a point where a robot can perform like a musical piece and evoke that same amount of emotion that a human does?
Maybe we'll get close to it. Maybe. But I agree with Chris. I can only talk about this because Chris has shown me some of those AI trailers and stuff, and it's very cool. But you can tell that the human element is kind of missing just a tad. Like I don't think a computer could create like Kill Bill and evoke the amount of emotion that Tarantino evoked in that film, and yeah, I don't know if we'll ever get completely close to that.
I think I agree with you. So you both are in accordance that AI, at least for right now, is more about enhancing than replacing.
Yeah. I definitely think it's a tool that's going to be helpful. And even now, because I remember when they came out with ChatGPT, everyone was like, "Oh, that's it. Like, we don't got to hire an editor anymore." No. You still need an editor because that AI is not gonna just do it 100%.
Yeah, I think it makes me happy that we all kind of agree on this. I hope we're right.
Yeah, I think we're right. I don't know.
Well, outside of AI, are there any other uncharted territories that come to mind for film?
The only other thing I could think of is, with the rise of virtual production, like especially what happened because we had to jump to that because of the pandemic, right? Like we weren't able to travel and get all these shots in these different locations, and so now we had to come up with a way. Which, funny enough, with the virtual production now, which is basically they have all the LED screens and stuff like that, simulating the backgrounds. So, like for example, let's say you have I've seen the commercial. I saw this on Instagram once actually, a long time ago, but it was a commercial of someone like paddling on a boat, and I saw the behind the scenes, and they had this giant like tub, the boat, the actor, screens all around, and that was the background, like in Italy. Like they were on the river in Italy, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was an LED screen?
It was an LED screen, yeah. I don't know about LED, but yeah, it was a screen.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that's virtual production. So and they used a lot of that on what's this show? Disney. Mandalorian. They used a lot of that on Mandalorian, and now a bunch of other productions adopt it now. And even now to create animated like sci-fi films and stuff like that, you and I can do it now. Wow. The program is free.
Really?
Yeah, it's actually the same program that they use for video games. It's called Unreal Engine. It's free. I don't know how to use it. I don't know. You'd have to learn, of course, and obviously. But that's what I'm talking about, is that it's so easily accessible now, whereas before you know.
This is exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It's accessible yet still uncharted.
Yeah, it's still uncharted because like I don't know. I wouldn't know what to do. I would still need to hire somebody that is knowledgeable in that. But the fact that it's so easily accessible now, it's crazy.
And it's new.
It's new, yeah.
That's really cool. So we've talked AI, we've talked virtual, what did you call
virtual
it?
Production.
Virtual production. Anything else uncharted that we should get these new filmmakers excited about? I know these are tough questions, so take your time.
Yeah, these are really tough.
I'm trying to get us to think outside the box. But we have been. It's been a really nice convo, so thank you guys so much for being here.
No, thank you for having us. I don't know. I can't think of anything else right now. Those are the two that like just stick out.
You know, you talked about getting creative with the shots, the shot that you got with Ahi, how you got it from above. You know, I feel like that's kind of considered uncharted territory, is getting creative with how we're going to get these shots.
Yeah. I mean, so a lot of, let me see. I mean, of course, like at an indie level, you don't have access to certain things like cranes and this and that. There are a lot of tools that have come out that can help with that, like drones now. Like anybody can buy a drone and just take it up and shoot. You could do a cold car chase scene now. I mean, obviously,
that's true.
Within the law, of course, you got to have police and all this stuff. But you know, like there's protocols, but it's just easier now. Yeah, the possibilities are like you're not limited anymore. You know,
that's exciting.
But I think it's a stepping stone to where, so that you can get to that level where you can. Because I have worked with really cool professionals like that have cranes and stuff like that, and it's like, man, what those guys do are amazing, and there is a purpose for those kinds of people. When you have your specialized equipment and people that operate those things, it's next level.
There's a beauty to the high budget, big teams.
And
to the DIY, small team, small budget.
And it speaks to, like I said earlier, that human element. You have people behind these massive machines. You know, it's like, how do they move the camera? Like I did it was like a concert shoot once, and these guys that operate the giant jibs, you know, these giant 30-foot cranes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy how they can like maneuver it into the crowd, around the crowd, and not hit anybody, because it's 30 feet up, like it's up in the air.
Yeah, and you're flying a celebrity around in the air too, on top of the audience. I've seen that before too. I mean, it's true. That's really cool. Rochelle, is there anything that comes to your mind that you, as someone outside of what he does, would like to see, as far as something that you've not seen happen in movies and shows yet, in film?
Yes. We've spoken about having more accessibility in shows. Like we started watching this really cool show called Switched at Birth, and the whole show basically revolves around sign language. So I know Chris has a family member that is hard of hearing, or is deaf. And so, we started noticing like, oh, there's not that many, movies with sign language or that tell a story regarding that.
Oh, wow.
So that's something that we've spoken about. And
that's a good one.
And I think Chris and I often touch on the topic of like, he'll always say like, oh, I want to put that in my movies, or I want to evoke that feeling. So,
That's a really cool one. Wow. We could have a whole nother episode just on that, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking about a sector of the community that gets left out a lot. People don't think about when it comes to creating films and creating music or creating anything creative. What about the people who need it in a different format?
Yeah. For having someone like Chris, like that you can bounce ideas off of, at least for me, I'm just like the average like consumer, right? So I just watch the movie and I don't really have any critical like critique or like knowledge, but I always bring ideas to him, and he'll be like, oh, this is really cool, this would be really cool to include in a project.
Yeah,
Like
you're not just average. No, you bring good ideas to the table. And in fact, I feel like that's why I asked you, because the viewer's opinion is so important. That's who you're making your content for most of the time.
Yes. And I think that's why, and actually Ahi mentioned this too in his episode, you got to have test screenings for your audience, You got to make sure, because you're not making the movie for yourself. Like, who would put all that work in just for you to watch it by yourself?
With some popcorn in the dark room by yourself.
I love this. Like, you want people to watch it.
If you do that.
That's okay too. I mean, it's okay, but it's like there's no, like I said it, I guess for me personally, and I said it before, like there's nothing like watching a movie with her that she hasn't seen before, and like I'll just look at her sometimes and see her reaction, because like I know there's a part that's like really funny or like really weird or really whatever it is. But that's part of the experience. And so you want to the viewers are important. You want to see what they like, what they don't like. So when you have your film and you do a test screening, you're taking notes on that. Like, okay, did this land? Did this not land? Did it and that is another element that could help your movie.
I love that. And in terms of increasing the accessibility, like you were saying, what would be the way to do that? Increase the awareness of those communities?
Yeah, so to obviously telling more stories related with that subject matter. I think if you wanted to do that, you would have to have more stories centered around that. And what was really cool about the show that she was talking about, Switch the Birth, is they're signing and talking in the show. So the hearing people, obviously they're talking, but some of them will sign and translate at the same time, and it's cool. Really cool to see, because some of the signs, I mean, for me, I know we both know a little bit of sign language. She's actually learning it.
That's exciting.
She's,
she's.
Can you say something?
I'm excited about learning sign language.
What? Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah, so like being able to incorporate that, like make more projects that incorporate that, I think be really cool. At first, of course, like it's always gonna seem weird, to people, because they're gonna be like, because they don't know, or maybe they're not used to seeing content like that. But the more you put it out there, the more people are gonna be like, okay,
they'll get used to it.
They'll get used to it, yeah.
It's only gonna be weird or feel odd because not a lot of people are creating that content yet.
Yeah, exactly.
And Chris, if I can add something to that.
Yeah. I
am not a native English speaker myself, so I do have trouble sometimes when we watch movies. I need the subtitles. And so 5 minutes will go by and the subtitles aren't on, because I know they distract Chris, so I'm like, I'm trying my best. But 5 minutes will go by and I'm completely lost in the story. I don't know what's happening. I don't know why that person said what, So I'll always end up telling Chris, hey, can you turn on the subtitles for me?
I'm team subtitles too.
There you go.
Really?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Amy, right?
She said yeah.
So he understands everything, but like I personally like can't follow the story if I don't have the subtitles. So it kind of puts me in that place of, somebody who can't hear what's going on. And I think if there's anything Chris has taught me is that like in filmmaking, like you want to like share your passion to as many people as are going to be willing to receive the message. And I feel like we're excluding a big group of people, by not creating more that could, they could relate to that story that you're sharing, and maybe bring their own perspective into it and expand your project.
Yeah, and get to enjoy it just like your other viewers.
Yeah.
Oh man, you've got me thinking. So, I know you've got him thinking all the time, but you've got me thinking. That's a really special topic. I'm glad that we covered on that, because now I hope people watching are like, oh yeah, you're right. I should create for that community and bring awareness, because like you said, the more that it gets done, the more you're going to inspire other content creators to want to do it too.
So here's the thing, and now it's even easier because, like, for example, and I think on most programs, maybe even Final Cut, I'm not sure, but because I know you talked about you used that earlier. On Premiere, you can just there is a captions section, and I would use it all the time for social media content. I still use it to add captions into the videos, and they have a bunch of languages that you could do it in. Again, it's not perfect. You still got to go in and change.
Yep.
Can't just put it and that's it. No, it's not set it and forget it.
Might change a word.
Yeah. No, yeah, you gotta fix it up, whatever. But now it's so easy. Whereas before, you used to have to pay somebody to go do that.
Right, a whole service for it.
Yeah, there was a whole service. And honestly, we filmmakers, we still use those services because sometimes you don't have all that time. I mean, imagine you're transfer.
And it's time code and
Well, yeah, and you're transcribing your imagine transcribing your film or even your short film in like 5-6 different languages. Like I said, it's not perfect, so you have to go in. And also, what if you don't know the language? A team is better for that. So sometimes there's a place to go hire those companies.
But for social media or for a short film, a microfilm.
Oh, it's cake. Just do it yourself. Awesome. Just take the time and include it, make it a part of the editing process.
Yeah.
And now you can make all your films accessible to that, the deaf community.
In light of what Rochelle was saying, that is something that's crossed my mind more now that those AI capabilities are available is, hey, if I'm going to put out a video of you and me talking, why not put the captions in there? It's so easy to do, and it would help someone who can't hear so much.
Exactly. They would still be able to watch and extract the information.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, it's a great tool.
So I'm glad that we covered that. So we've covered a lot of good things today, guys. So thank you so much for being here. Is there anything else that you want to talk about in regard to yourselves? Any projects, anything personal life you're excited to share before we talk about your company?
You got anything?
Yeah, absolutely. So this summer is we're gonna start on Chris's project, the Detective Noir. So I'm super excited because that's like his first project, like one of his first in a long time, actually, at least. So I'm really excited to see that transition.
Oh man, you just pumped me up for his project. I love this. Yeah. You're the best. I'm so glad you came on. You're like this surprise guest we didn't even expect. I love it.
We didn't plan this, but it's awesome. Yeah, so like she said, that's what I have coming up. I'm really excited because it's actually been a long time since I've created my own short film. I actually spent a lot of time helping other people on their projects, and I enjoy it. I thoroughly enjoy it. But I'm like, with the encouragement of people like Ahi and Lakeisha, I'm like, you know what? I can dip my toe in there. I can throw my hat in the ring.
Oh too, yeah, especially with the support system you got.
Yeah, exactly. So now I'm gonna do this micro short and keep going and get back on, and I'm gonna have some YouTube content coming out. So it's gonna be great.
Sounds like you have a lot of cool things coming. I'm really excited, and however I can be of help for your project.
Oh, absolutely. Don't worry. You're on the list.
Hey, I'm on the list. Let's go. All right, so I'm going to talk about our sponsor for today, which is Crosshammer Films. This is Chris's company. Crosshammer Films offers commercial video production services, social media content, weddings, podcast production, video editing, and his passion, narrative projects, where he will serve as cinematographer.
Yeah, so you can reach out to me at Christopher@crosshammerfilms.com. If you want to email me for any potential work or anything like that. You can also follow me on Instagram at crosshammer_films. You can DM me there as well, and
What's your personal Instagram?
My personal Instagram is Chris Cross _ films, I believe. But Chris, my name, and then Cross together.
That's a cool.
We'll definitely put that. You have to put that in the show.
Yeah, I'll add a banner.
Yeah.
I just want people to know where to follow you. How about you, Rochelle?
So my Instagram is at RACHELLE.KF, and I have to spell my name because it's spelled in French. So I always get it. People always get it mixed up. But yeah,
it's spelled really pretty. I like it.
If you reach out to me, you can get a 10% discount.
Ooh, okay.
Limited time.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, Chris. This has been so much fun. Thank you, Rochelle, for being here.
For having
This was a fun episode.
Yeah, no,
Took
thank you for having
couple
us.
shots before, loosened up a little bit.
Of course.
Well, I hope you'll come back because we have plenty more to talk about.
No, absolutely. I'd love to come back.
Especially your project.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody who joined us, and have a good night.